Hi guys, it's Trish back with another video. Today we're going to make a fun project using September's Potomac bead box. So if you're up for a fun design, stick around. Okay, so we have all of our materials laid out here. I chose the beads that I wanted to use from the box, and I'm going to be using some beading wire and just a silver color to start with. And when I'm beading, I like to bead right off of the roll of beading wire because it seems like I have less waste when I'm doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with one of these beautiful Czech glass red discs. Okay. And then I'm going to put one of these beautiful frames on and one of these beautiful red and black swirl beads. Get your end out there far enough. Put your bead on, and you can see here I've only gone through one hole so far because you have to put your beads in between there, and this is the only way to do it. So once I get that bead on, I'm going to put my string through the other side of the frame, my beading wire, and just scooch that up. And you can see what a huge difference those frames make. It really just pops. And then I'm going to put another one of my red discs, Czech glass on. And then I think I'm going to put one of these brown crystals, or topaz, excuse me. I think that's what these are called. Let me double check, guys. Yeah, these are topaz crystals. Color of them is, and we'll end up probably putting one on that end as well, just to keep everything balanced. I'm going to take one of these square beads and put it on another frame, another of our swirl beads. Okay, and then back through that second hole, just like so. And then one of our beautiful swirl green beads. Okay, so now we have a run here, and I want to measure this and see how long, because I know I want to add chain. So we're only at 3 inches, so we can add another section. Because I cut a 3-inch piece of chain, that's my plan, is to use a 3-inch piece of chain, and then I have a large lobster clasp that'll make up for the rest of it. It's about a little less than an inch, about 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to put another one of those red, we need to put one of our topaz crystals and our red bead and our frame. And then we're going to put a swirl bead in the center of that frame like we did the last 2 times here. And I'm going to feed my strand through that frame, the second hole in the frame, and then another Czech glass round here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So what we're going to do then is we're just going to cut this loose from the wire, spool. I'm going to use, which clippers am I going to use? These ones. I don't like to ruin my good pliers or snippers cutting beading wire. So now we have that beautiful set of beads there. We're going to start with some crimps. Now you can use a wire guardian on either end of here. You are more than welcome to do that if you'd feel more comfortable. But today we're just going to use some crimps. So on this side, I'm just going to make a loop on this side, actually on both sides. And I'm just putting my wire up, put the crimp on and put my wire up through the crimp, and then the other side back down through. Now this doesn't have to be close to our beads at all, because we're going to scooch those up and do the spacing with the next crimp that we put on. Okay, so I'm just going to move that loop to the size I want and where I want it. And then I have my crimp underneath, and I'm just going to take my crimping pliers in and just give that a squeeze. And then give it a fold. Okay. And then I always cut the remainder wire off because it really doesn't do anything but end up poking people. So I'll cut right up to that crimp. And there we go. Our one side has a loop on it. So then this side we're going to do the same thing, but we want to get our tension right to make sure that, you know, our beads aren't too loose or too tight. So I'm going to put the crimp on again on the other side, and I'm going to run my wire back through the crimp just like I did earlier. But now what we're going to do is we have to consider, like I said, the spacing on this. So what I do is I put once I get that down through the crimp, just like so, I hold on to that wire and I take my round nose pliers and put it in through the loop there and just pull on that wire until I get it to about where I think I want it for tension. Then I kind of look at it, make sure it's not too snug, give it a little breathing room, and there we go. And that's a quick, easy way to get the tension right. So, because you can get it down to there, and then you can always just stick your fingernail in there and give yourself a little extra space. So it's a nice, tension. All right, so squeeze and fold. All right, so that is done. This is actually a pretty quick bracelet to come together. But we're going to take our chain now, and we're going to hook our chain onto one of these loops. And this chain is nice that I had here. It actually opens up. Some chains you have to cut, but this one will open up. I'll grab my other pliers here. And you can see there's a split there. It's a heavy duty one, believe me. And it's just a 3-inch piece. And it has large loops in it. And I'm just going to hook it onto, to the one end by going through that loop. Okay. Just like so. Now we have our chain. So now we just need to add our lobster clasp, and we're going to make some dangles with these beautiful flowers here. Okay, so now we're going to attach our lobster clasp. I'm going to take one of our jump rings here and open it up and hook it into the other side, into that other loop that we had on the end of our beads, and then hook in our lobster claw. And just give that a close. Okay. And we have our chain. Now what I want to do to kind of take this up a notch is get some head pins or ball head pins and put these 3 beautiful flowers on these little green swirl ones as accents on the bracelet. So I put a crystal on my ball head pin, one of those topaz crystals, and I'm going to put that up through my flower. And I think I might put another one on top. Let me just see here. Yeah, that looks pretty, doesn't it? So I have put a crystal, a flower, a crystal on my ball head pin there, and I'm just going to make a loop. And this is just going to be a regular wrap loop, but before I wrap it, I'm going to hook it into my piece. Let me grab my pliers. And you can put, which I will probably do here, is put some crimp covers on the ends, and it really makes the bracelet look nice and finished, any piece. And then I'm going to grab that loop after we get that through, just like so. See how that's looking? And I'm going to grab that loop, and I'm just going to wrap this wire around to secure everything. Okay, and then we're going to give it a little snip. And we're going to take that wire that we just snipped, and we're just going to take our pliers and push that down a little bit, just to get so it's not jagging anything or grabbing onto anyone's clothing, just kind of pushing that back in. So that, all right, so let me grab my crimp covers and we'll put some crimp covers on. So I have went ahead and put on one crimp cover on our bracelet, and you can see how nice that looks. It just looks like a bead, a silver bead there, and it really finishes it off. And I'll show you here on the other side how to put the other one on. And these are number 2 crimp tubes that I use. So you're going to have to use something, crimp cover that's the right size. This is a 4mm. You could probably do a 3 as well. But I'm just putting that over my crimp, and I'm just going to give that a squeeze. Not too aggressively, but just enough to kind of set it. I'm going to flip it over so I can see where this crack is on it. And I'm just going to start slowly pushing those sides together. One side, then the other side. The key with crimp covers, is patience. And that's what I've found out. So you just slowly work them so you don't get them warped and they stay a nice shape. And I'm just slowly pressing down, checking, making sure that everything's lining up the way I want it, and just kind of slowly. And I'm not squeezing real hard, just enough to get everything kind of moved where I want it. And there you go. It's as simple as that. So that is our finished bracelet, which I love. Let's put it out here. How about that? And you could also put a dangle on the end too if you wanted to do that, but I like the looks of that. So let's do some bonus earrings here. Just a quick fun little earring to use up some more of our beautiful beads here. So what we're going to start with is a couple head pins. And I'm going to do these flowers the same way I did for the bracelet. I'm going to put the crystal on, the flower, crystal, and then I'm just going to make a loop because this is going to be the bottom part of our earring. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm just going to bend horizontally and rotate my pliers up and over. Rotate my pliers horizontally again, wire crossed. Okay, so we can go ahead and take our pliers then, hold on to that loop, and then wrap our wire down. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is trim that wire like we did earlier on our other flower. And we're just going to give that a little bit of a squeeze just to kind of make sure that it's not grabbing anybody. It's getting tucked away. And make sure you always put your ends, squeeze your ends with your pliers so they go in underneath, tucked away, because that's where they need to be. So we're going to take another topaz crystal and we're going to add another one of our beautiful flowers and a topaz crystal. Okay, and then again, we're going to do the same thing. Wrap loop. Okay. Okay, give a trim. Okay, so we're just going to tuck that wire away here. And we have the first part done. Okay, so I'm going to take some 20 gauge wire and I'm just going to cut me about a 6-inch piece here. Let's see if I can trim that. And what we're going to do here is I'm just going to straighten this wire out with my fingers a little bit before I make my loop. But I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to make a loop on the end, just like this. Roll it. All right. And then you're just going to take your plier to the other side and bounce that back so that's centered, more so than off to one side. We're going to open this up. Open this loop, and we're going to put on our beautiful flower that we just made. Close that loop up, and then we're going to put on one of our crystals. Oops. Okay, and this is 20 gauge wire, and they'll fit on 20 gauge wire. Our frame, and then one of our swirl beads. Okay, and then back to the others through the other side of that frame. Okay, I'm giving a little bit of a problem getting that down there, but I got it there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is add another topaz crystal to it, and look how pretty that looks. Very pretty. And then you could add one of your discs up at the top if you want to. You could do it in 2 pieces, but doesn't that look pretty? I really like the look of that. So let's make our loop on the top. Just like we did before with our wrap loop. And then just wrap that down. Hold on to that loop. Wrap that down so you get a nice, your coils are nice and lined up. And then trim that wire. And then just take your tweezer pliers or whatever you use and push that end in. Simple as that. And there's one earring to go with our beautiful bracelet. Now we're going to take another piece of wire and do the same thing. Okay, and I'm just going to roll loop on it. Put that back. Let's see, let's make sure. No, I need a little bit bigger of a loop on there. So we'll make a little bit bigger of a loop to match the other one. And then make it our little lollipop. And I'm straightening this wire out. Going to open this loop. Add our flower. And then build the top part of our earring. Crystal frame. Oops. You see how I'm coming out of that to put my beads on, guys? You always have to make sure and do that so you can get everything in the center that you want in there. I don't think that one's got a hole in it. There we go. Put this one on. And then back it up and push it back through that frame, just like so. And then we have a crystal, and then one of our red disc beads here. Once we make our loop, we're just going to grab that with our pliers and give that a wraparound. Okay, there we go. And snip the wire. Snip that just a hair shorter and hide that little wire away. Okay, there we go. 2 beautiful earrings. Okay, so I just put some lever back hooks onto our earrings, and here are completed pieces, our beautiful bracelet and earrings. So guys, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.